Heaven has no queen. Heaven has no queen. And we're going to see that, in fact, in this passage, we're going to find a remarkable thing when God bans prayer. Who would have thought God would tell someone not to pray? I don't think that's the word of the Lord to us today. My suspicion is it's probably the opposite. Please pray. Notice this, I called you persistently, and you did not listen. You know what that tells me? That tells me we're created spiritual. We're created with an ability to hear God. And I know you can do the How to Hear God seminars and read the How to Hear God books. It's almost like telling you how to breathe air. Anyone ever read a book on how to breathe air? We're created spiritual. You can't help but be spiritual. But notice what you can do with your spirituality. You can become hardened. You can become deaf. You can choose to become blind. That's what you can do with your spirituality. But if you have a heart that says, God, I want to know you. God, I want to hear from you. God, I want your will to transform my life. I guarantee you, you'll be breathing spiritual air. As for you, this is God now talking directly with Jeremiah. As for you, do not pray for this people or lift up a cry or prayer for them, and do not intercede with me, for I will not hear you. Now this is intriguing, and I hope to show you why. It occurs again in Jeremiah chapter 11, verse 14, and ironically, or strangely, Jeremiah 14, verse 11, just swap the numbers around. So Jeremiah 11:14, Jeremiah 14:11. And we'll go to another reference in a moment. This is really intriguing. Do not pray for these people. Do not cry out for them. So notice this. Don't pray for them. This is remarkable. Sometimes the hardest people for God to save are those who are the religious. If you're religious and you don't think you need God, and you don't think you need His grace, and you don't think you need anything from God, it may already be too late for you, quite frankly. We may have already lost you. I hope we haven't. Jeremiah's told not to pray. Think about this. God is asking Jeremiah, don't pray to me. Please don't pray to me. What does that tell us about the effect prayer has on God? You see, sometimes we can look at this and think God's mind is already made up. But think about the condition of the people God is saying don't pray for them. Ponder this. How hard, how deaf, how blind were they to get to this point? And where did it begin? And probably the answer is with one teeny little compromise. With one teeny little compromise, they got to this place spiritually where God says, Jeremiah, there's no hope for them. The fathers kindle the fire and the women knead dough to make cakes for the Queen of Heaven. The Queen of Heaven. Who's the Queen of Heaven? It's this, historians tell us, archaeologists tell us, that it's probably this lady called Ishtar, Ashtoreth or Ashtaroth, depending on the spelling, because in Hebrew there's actually no vowels, so we just kind of guess the sound in between the consonants. So it's Ashtoreth or Ashtaroth. In New Testament times, this Queen of Heaven character became known as Astarte. There was a festival of Astarte. To the Greeks, they called her Adonis. And she was the goddess of fertility. I want to show you some pictures. This is the point where you may want to look away because some of these are pornographic, but these are actual statues that have been found of Ashtoreth or Ashtaroth. So have a look at these. I hope I've got, about the Queen of Heaven. Here we go. All right, there's the first one. She's got really weird feet. She's holding, you can kind of see she's holding the moon in one hand, and she's got these wings, because I guess if you're up there, you've got to be able to fly up there, I suppose. Now, the next one, there she is. Her picture, her symbol was a lion. So Babylon was decorated with lions everywhere, which was, see, she's conquering the lion. She rules over. There she is again with her wings and her crown. Now, the next one is particularly pornographic. It's got nipples and everything. So just... Now, personally, it doesn't rouse anything in me. And quite frankly, if I saw a woman with that shape, it may actually work the opposite. But this is a picture, this is the same idea. So there's my pornography in church. This was a statue that was made of the Queen of Heaven. Now here's the danger for Christians. We can end up becoming so religious that we create a Christianized version of this, and it's called Mariology. You know, the Bible doesn't say we should pray to anyone else but God. You don't pray to a saint, you don't pray to Mary, you pray directly to God. And it was when Christians around the 4th and 5th centuries took on this pagan symbolism that Mary was made a goddess. And in fact, you'll sometimes hear her called the Queen of Heaven. And if you read Jeremiah, God is ticked. God is really ticked with this. So let's be very, very careful about what the gospel's about and what Christianity's about, because it's not about this stuff. It's not about statues and icons and idols. It's about honouring God. Heaven has no queen.